when I look at the camera, I'm like, what movie is that? Where he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm like, do I smile? Do I not smile? Oh God.
I know.
Oh yeah, what'd you say? And I'm so freaked out about this that I like forget to hear.
I know,
I'm like, are you done yet?
As soon as y'all started talking, my nose was itching. I was like, oh my God.
I'll like, just look at the plant. There's a nice plant over there.
I did. I looked at these tulips. That's what I looked at.
Welcome to Coming Down the Pipe, ARS Global's monthly podcast where we talk about pipeline assets, investments, pipeline construction, and the market in general. We're the midstream partner for Streamline Sourcing Solutions. Today I have with me Wendy and Ryan. I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name is Wendy Goloway. I'm the account manager for pipe. My background consists of I worked for a pipe manufacturer and on the coating side.
Great. And I'm Ryan Piper, manager business development at ARS Global, and been in the pipeline industry for 10 years in the PVF and construction arenas.
Great, and I'm Josh Averitt, president of ARS Global. I have a background in asset recovery and dealing with the disposition of surplus assets. And today what we're going to talk about is the market in general and how sellers of surplus material are realizing more value on the sales side and how our buyers are taking advantage of the surplus market and accelerating their construction timelines and reducing their cost to the bottom line of their project. So let's just kind of dive right in with some questions and answers. Piper, what projects are you seeing right now in the midstream space, and what forces are leading to the increases and decreases of those projects?
So we're seeing a lot of large diameter pipeline projects, primarily in Louisiana right now, but most of them are in the Gulf Coast region. A lot of the pipe that we have sold is either welded up and in the ground in Louisiana or is stacked up and racked there in pipe yards in Louisiana right now, ready to go out to the right-of-way. So we're seeing a lot of those projects. You have the Haynesville Shale that's been very active in western Louisiana and eastern Texas. Permian always is active out in West Texas, and then also the Eagle Ford down in South Texas. So Gulf Coast region's been very hot recently. Great,
and why is that? What kind of infrastructure is being developed along the Gulf Coast?
So mainly LNG facilities to get. There's a large demand right now in Europe and Asia for LNG, and so they need that infrastructure to feed gas to these LNG facilities that are either existing or planned.
Okay, so is the Gulf Coast LNG push, is that kind of a fairly new thing? Is it transitioned from any older models, or why all of a sudden the big push for the LNG infrastructure?
Yeah, there's been a big push, I guess, to go greener, and so big push for hydrogen projects, carbon capture projects, more efficient ways to get LNG to the other side of the world. So it's traditionally, historically been the let's move some crude or natural gas, from point A to point B. But this is hopefully helping out long term.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. And Wendy, when we talk about these projects, one of the main concerns that I think everyone has post-COVID is supply chain, right? It doesn't matter if you're buying a car, it doesn't matter if you're buying a computer, it doesn't matter if you're buying pipe or valves. Tell us a little bit about how the supply chain is reacting right now and how it's trying to catch up.
Well, I don't think it's caught up. Post-COVID or before COVID, it was, supply chain did a great job. COVID hits, people were staying home, pipelines weren't being built, couldn't get workers because people couldn't work. They either had COVID or companies weren't letting them go out to the fields, weren't letting people work. So a lot of pipelines were not being built. COVID, a couple years down the pipeline, people started getting back to work. COVID's really not over, but as COVID became more, I guess, acceptable, people started going back to work. Operators did start buying into building a pipeline. The problem with that was a lot of the steel mills were having trouble getting plate and coil. A lot of the A lot of the steel was going to other manufacturers, car manufacturers, housing. So they were having trouble getting inventory or product to make the inventory. I think that's where we had a benefit because we had pipe on the ground and were able to sell it to operators to build pipelines. I would say supply chain's getting a little better, but it's still not up to where it was before COVID.
Okay.
There's some numbers that are also pretty interesting when it comes to hot rolled coil pricing. During COVID, it was around $500 a ton, and then it shot up back in August, September of 2021, shot up to nearly $2,000 a ton. Then it took a dive late last year and got to roughly $600 a ton, and now we're back in the $1,200, just shy of $1,200 a ton area. So, I mean, important thing here is our pipe pricing has been consistent throughout this kind of roller coaster ride of hot rolled coil pricing.
Sure, and that helps our clients kind of navigate the volatile waters. The project planning stage, as we all know, because we're all salespeople, we track projects for a really long time. It can be up to a year, 2 years, 3 years, and it's really hard as a project manager or a cost control, a person in the cost control group, to maintain a consistent forecast on construction costs when your material pricing is so volatile, right? So ARS really kind of helps maintain a steady course throughout the life cycle of that project planning, and I think that's where some of our clients really benefit from that. Wendy, a question for you. What needs are you seeing from your clients in today's market?
I think need for the product ASAP, as soon as possible. A lot of mills are booked out, so if they are able to get a rolling through a mill, a lot of times, and a lot of people don't realize this, I do just because I worked at a mill, they'll order so much pipe. They don't take into account any overage. A lot of times when the pipe gets to the right of way, it can be humped in the rail cars, it can be damaged. During coating, if they're trying to bend it, it can be damaged. So they need excess pipe. So I'm seeing a lot of need for excess pipe to, I guess, to attach to those projects. People that are needing, a couple hundred feet or a couple thousand feet. But with the pipe mills booked out, I think for us, we've got a benefit there because we do have the pipe on the ground. What I've also noticed is you'll have a lot of people call for special wall thicknesses, and I think if more operators would engineer standard type walls, it would be easier to find the pipe. It would be more accessible.
Okay, so from a strengths and weaknesses standpoint, if you're a project manager, what advice would you have to someone to maybe standardize that?
It's just think outside the box. Really think outside the box, just to come to a solution to where if it's more standardized, the pipe's more readily available, it's easier to find, versus a more specialized wall thickness.
Sure, and I think that's something that we've hinted on in a previous episode too. The same goes for the flip side of that, right? If you're needing 20-inch standard X70 pipe, but maybe your supply chain group or your inventory group has 20-inch 429 wall,
yes,
sitting on the ground, ready to go, instead of double buying that pipe, it might be worth looking into a surplus option, right? So thinking outside the box and some adaptability is definitely crucial in this
Absolutely.
Supply chain. So that's really about all we have today. So be sure to subscribe. We're on all major platforms. We do these episodes once a month, and we're looking forward to you tuning in on the next episode.